So I was going for my morning walk one day and I came across a crab. It was about the size of my palm, and he was a decent sized crab, and there was like a hole sort of nearby where he was, and so he had a home to go to, and he was fully mobile, like I could see him scurrying around. But I got down really close and he let me pat his claw. He had these two, one really big left claw and one really small right claw, and he let me pat the left claw for like 5 minutes. I was very gentle. Every time I went to go touch the right claw though, he like shied away. And so I left that experience feeling so blessed for having encountered that, because it's very rare for you to be able to pat a wild animal, especially a crab. I left there thinking, I wonder what my inner being was trying to tell me through that experience. And it hit me a day later when I was telling a friend about it, that the symbology behind the crab having a really big left claw was like my spirit was telling me the most powerful part of you is your feminine side. It's your intuition, it's trust, it's receiving. And everyone has a feminine and a masculine side, and just because you're a male doesn't mean that you don't have full access to your feminine side. And I think it takes a beautiful balance to really enjoy both aspects of yourself. But I know for me that I have been predominantly quite masculine, in the sense that I have always been taking action and really trying to get the ball moving with lots of action in my life, and there hasn't been as much trust or as much intuition or as much receiving going on in my life. What that crab was symbolizing to me was that I actually have a really strong feminine side, and in fact I can get so much more achieved and enjoy my life so much more if I live predominantly from my feminine side, my intuition, my trust. Because if I could demonstrate to the universe that I completely trust in the unfolding of my life, in provision coming to me, in situations lining up for me perfectly, your trust and your belief, your mindset is far more powerful than any action that you could take. And that was the message that I was receiving, was that you need to put more effort into trusting, into allowing, into receiving, because you know, and I do know, from that state, that is where everything flows. Because you don't have to take a lot of action for things to line up for you easily. All you have to do is do the actual work, which is between your two ears, because that is what the real work is. It's molding your mind, it's molding your imagination into a state that is going to bring the things that you want to you. A lot of us get that switched around, where we're like, I need to take enough action, I need to do. And it's very two-dimensional, it's very limited way of thinking, because there is so much action that anyone can take. But if you take aligned action or inspired action, then things can line up for you that seem magical, but really it was because you were tapping into that higher guidance that you have within you. Your inner compass, your inner being can see everything. Your inner being has an aerial view of everyone and everything, and knows exactly the path of least resistance to get you something that you really want. For example, if I wanted a job, but if I was worrying about not having enough supply, or worrying about not finding the right job, and taking all this action, applying for jobs everywhere in this state of worry and panic, and like just very human stuff that a lot of us do, you know. And that's the thing, is that we can normalize this behavior, because historically and a lot of what you see is people taking uninspired action. So if I'm looking for a job and I am doing that lots of action, versus the person who completely 100% trusts in her ability to attract to her a job, she might not be doing that much action at all, but she could be going for a walk one day just basking, and then somebody comes up to her and they start talking, and then all of a sudden she gets offered a job. That's the kind of alignment, and that's the kind of rendezvous and synchronicities that I'm talking about, that we all have access to if we aren't taking too much action from a place of desperation, from a place of I have to make this happen or it would never happen. Because a lot of us aren't trusting in that true inner guidance, and we are taking so much action from a place of fear, and may not feel like fear, because we can become so desensitized to our negative emotions that we don't really know what's driving our behaviors. But if you can become sensitive to it and become really honest with yourself and be like, you know what, maybe I am putting in too much action, maybe I'm not putting enough effort into my mindset, maybe I've been actually looking at how everyone else lives their life and basing my reality on everyone else's reality, and maybe my inner being knows better than I do and can see further than I can, and I know that I can actually tap into that intuition because I've done it before. There has been time in my life where things have just sort of dropped in my lap, so to speak, and that's the kind of power I'm talking about, and that's the kind of power I'm constantly striving to access through my emotions, through my intuition, through my good feeling, through trusting and receiving, because by doing that, you are allowing things to come to you in a much easier and fun way. You can't explain how worthy you feel when something effortlessly drops into your life that you've been wanting. So like a relationship that just waltzes into your life out of nowhere and it just lights you up like no tomorrow, like that makes you feel worthy, and you are worthy. So you need to remember how powerful you are, and that you actually have access to this power and energy that creates worlds. You are so magnetic, but a lot of us are magnetizing things to us that we don't want through our focus, through what we are looking at. I encourage you not to base anything on anyone else's experience unless you want to activate that for yourself. So if you have a friend in your life who has a negative experience, don't worry yourself with how it played out for them. Trust that you have the ability to attract to yourself a different outcome. How many times do you want to do something and you tell your friend about it and they come up to you and they're like, oh, I wouldn't do that because when I did it, it went like this, and you don't want that to happen. And we can get so in our heads about how it's going to be based on one other person, but we forget that the laws of the universe are responding to their point of attraction, not to how it is for everybody. Because, I mean, you've heard that so many times. Everyone can have very different experiences doing the same sort of thing based on how their point of attraction is, based on how they chronically have been feeling and vibrating and attracting to them based on their expectations. That's why it's a dead end trying to compare yourself to other people in your life, because you're completely different and your point of attraction will be different. However, if you have a friend that attracts to them in a good way, expect that for yourself. You can do it in a way that's harmful to you, and you can do it in a way that's not harmful to you. And the best thing that you can do is to look at things that work out well for people and be like, yeah, that could work out well for me too. That's a positive belief, and you are the one that's creating all these experiences based on what you expect and what you believe, because the beliefs that you hold are your blueprint to your entire life. And that's why if you've got something that's really, if you received guidance from your inner being about something and you know it's a sure thing and you know it's a yes from you, and don't go telling your friends about it until it's a sure thing, because sometimes people can get in your head and be like, well, I wouldn't be doing that, and then you start to second guess yourself when you knew before you told that friend that it was a sure thing and that there was just nothing that was going to change your mind about it. And then you let other people get in your head and they change your mind when they don't have access to your inner being's vision. They can't see far and wide how it's going to work out for you. They don't know half the things that are going on with you. So it's better sometimes to keep things that are very important to you to yourself, so that other people don't get in there and mess it up with their vibration until it's solidified, until that it's a sure thing and a done deal. And then you can tell the world about it. But it's up to you, and that's where you need to listen to your individual guidance, because there might be a time where your inner being might be like, hey, no, tell this person, they've got information for you. But if you get this niggling feeling being like, oh, I don't want to tell this friend just in case they talk me out of it, then maybe don't. Maybe that's your intuition. But that's the thing, people put so much effort into action where their real power lies in their intuition, in their trust, in that receiving mode, in the everything's going to work out well for me. And then from that place of trust, you will be inspired to the action to take. and it won't be hard action. It will be easy because it will be effective. It will take you in the directions that will be the most beneficial to you, and it will just work out so much smoother. So if you are somebody who is taking a lot of action and is feeling worn out and burnt out and stressed out, then maybe it's time for you to really tap into that intuition side of you, into that feminine side of you of receiving and trusting and knowing your true power. It's never going to be a waste of time to spend time learning about just how powerful your mind is and how to focus yourself into a state that will attract to you. You don't have to go to it. It will come to you, or you will be inspired to go to it, but it'll be like in a disguise. It'll be like, hey, go to the beach today. You'll be like, okay, and then you went to the beach, and then somebody's there that you needed to meet so that they can meet the next person, and the universe can just line things up for you like that. And in fact, you hear that with a lot of people that have had wild success stories. They're like, I don't even know how it happened. I was just bopping along, doing my thing, living my happy life, and then boom, there it was, and then boom, there it was, and then, or even people who are trying for a baby, and they tried for years, and then they all of a sudden get pregnant when they stop trying, because they let go of that resistance, and it just sort of happened when they were in a good mood, because you can't have things come to you easy when you're in a constricted state. Look at that, you can't get in there. But when you're in a flowy, allowing state, that is when things can come in and land in your hand. People are gripping things too much and they're constricting the flow, just like grabbing onto a pipe and it's got water flowing through it, and they hold on to it so tight that they constrict the water flow, they constrict the supply coming through the pipe. But if you hold the pipe gently, the flow will come through, and the flow is coming to you. Same with holding an umbrella up. There is blessings getting to you all the time. The only thing stopping them from coming to you is your negative mood or your attention to what you don't prefer. Whereas if you can give your attention to what you do prefer, then you allow things to come to you easily. You want to take directions from somebody who's in a good mood rather than someone that is in a bad mood, right? Like when you're driving with someone and they're in a terrible mood, you're more likely to get into an accident. Whereas if you're driving with someone who is calm and relaxed, they are more likely to get their intuition to take a turn or to miss an accident because they were in alignment. But when you're out of alignment and when you're constricting and stressed out and upset, then things just don't get to you as easy. So your only job is to stay in a really good feeling place as much as you can, or find your path of least resistance. Sometimes when you're in depression, you got to go up to sort of revenge and then sort of pessimism before you can get to joy. But you find your path of least resistance and you just work on feeling a little bit better and a little bit better each and every day, at each and every moment. Just, hey, how can I feel a little bit better in this moment? How can I think of that thought in a better way? How can I see myself in a better way? How can I love that person even though they're being annoying? How can I put myself in a position where I'm going to feel better so that I can receive more guidance, more provision, more trust, more relaxation? That's key when it comes to trying to manifest things without excessive action and excessive doing, because that's just negating the power of the universe to supply for you easier, more inspired action that will really bring you a lot of joy and it won't stress you out.